Welcome back to day 3. We're going to be making the pinhole viewer. Things you'll need, let's start off with things you'll need later. You'll need 2 rolls of string, so you need your yarn, you need your string from previous projects, you'll need your light up buzzing thingy, whatever you created, right? And just hold those off to the side. To make the pinhole viewer, you'll need your cardboard tube, you'll need 3 rubber bands, you'll need some tape, you'll need aluminum foil, some parchment paper, and you'll need a dark piece of paper. It could be black, it could be blue, anything that blocks off light. Okay, so we'll start with the tube. So your tube might have some little things sticking out like this. You want to make this as smooth as possible to block off as much light as possible. So just take your scissors and go around. Just clean it up a little bit. This is good enough right now. And we'll take our parchment paper and gently put it on top of this. You're gonna make it as flat as you can right here. And stretch it over and grab a rubber band and just put it over this, just like that. See that? Again, I'm just gonna cut off some of the excess. Okay, once you have your parchment paper like this, you can grab your black piece of paper. You want to roll it over probably like half of your tube, just like this. And you want the length. You don't want to do it lengthwise because then it won't reach, right? You want to go width, just like that. Same thing. Grab a rubber band, put it right through here, right over this. Just like that. You can close this off with some tape. Here we go. And cut this a little bit off. You got plenty of parchment paper and aluminum foil, so let's not waste it, but you can mess around with that a little bit. Alright, see that? Alright, next step is to grab your aluminum foil and make it flat. And just like the parchment paper, I'm gonna put it right here. Just like that. Gently make sure it's flat right here. And put your last rubber band over this. And that is your camera obscura, but you can't see anything through it. I mean, you might if you have a hole in your aluminum by accident. But the next step, and one of the most delicate steps, is to grab a sharp pencil, and it has to be super sharp, right? And you want to poke a hole right in the middle. You want a tiny little hole, just barely poke it in there. And then you can look around and you'll start seeing your images right in the back of the parchment paper. Just like that. You can mess around with the, if you mess up, if you make a hole that's too big, that's okay. Again, we got plenty of aluminum. You can experiment with the size, see which one works best or what kind of effects you get. But right now, I want you guys to grab your penguin or your animalito, whatever it was, and you turn it on. Right, and you're gonna see You're gonna look at your LEDs or your friends' LEDs, right? You can go around the whole classroom and see, like, observe everybody's creations through the Camera Obscura. So this thing has a bunch of different names. You can view it through this pinhole viewer. Some people call it a Camera Obscura or a pinhole camera, right? But you gotta turn on your project, just like that. And after you turn it on, I want you to observe it through your pinhole camera or your pinhole viewer and see what you observe. You know, like something's gonna be different. Something's gonna be, you know. So what I see right now is that the LEDs are super bright, right? So they show up right here on my parchment paper really easily. And when I look out through the window, I can see pretty clearly what I'm looking at. But yeah, everything's different, right? Everything's upside down. So again, look at your projects, look at your things, look at your lights, right? You can go outside and observe different things. Once you're done experimenting with that, you can poke a second hole, right? See how that affects it. You know, you can spin your viewer around, see how that affects your your image that you're producing. You put a bunch of holes in here and see what that does, right? Just like that. So if your LEDs are in a straight line like mine, you could have one of your friends grab an index card or any kind of a thing to block, and you have them block off the LEDs one by one, right? So starting with the bottom one, top, then going up. That way you can observe and see what's happening through your pinhole viewer. Okay, interesting. So even though my buddy's blocking out the bottom ones first and then moving his way up, through my pinhole viewer, it looks like it's starting up here from the top down. So what does that mean, right? Well, you can start looking around. You can look around outside. You can look around the classroom, different projects. Some people might make a, different shape with their LEDs. You watch it through your pinhole viewer and then in real life and see what the differences are. So after you're done experimenting with multiple holes, you can make a big hole. See how that affects it. So you put your whole pencil through there, and then you can look through that. All right. So once you mess around with this and figure it out, or you get bored of that, you can poke a hole with your finger and see how that affects things. You can rotate it around. So if you have multiple holes, if you have multiple holes and your images start to blend in the back of your parchment paper, you'll notice that some colors, right? Like right now I have pointed at a window and some plants. And as I twist it and turn it, the colors start to blend together. Right, and you point it at the sky, you start blending with something else. So you can point it at your buddies and see how they get blended with multiple holes. And this all works a lot better with light. So if you go outside, right, it'll work a lot better. If you're under direct light, it'll work a lot better, right? And if you ruin or you feel like this isn't fun anymore, you can always pop it off and get a new piece of aluminum, stretch it over there again, and you can restart, right? You could even use it like this and see how that looks. It's kind of interesting. But yeah.
Okay, now here's a little model you can do to show kind of what's going on inside your pinhole viewer. Over here, we have the light source. We have two lights. We have one blue light, and then later we'll have a white light as well. And the blue light is coming from the light, and it's going in all directions. It's going over here because I can see it over here. I can see it going into my eye over here, and then everybody over there can see it too, so it's going to their eye. So there's rays coming out all over the place from this light. But one of those rays is going right over here, and it's going through the hole, through the aluminum foil hole in the pinhole viewer. I'll put that hole in there right there. Boom. And so just that one ray of light goes right through the hole. And then it keeps on going, and it goes over here, and pretty soon it hits the wax paper. You want to hold on to that? Thank you. Okay, now light travels usually, almost always, in a straight line. That's the only rule we have to know here. So this blue light happens to be on the bottom over here. Here's the blue light on the bottom, and it's coming straight out of there. And then remember, there's other rays coming over here, but that one ray that went through there, it went through the hole, and it kept on going straight, and it ended up here. And here's the wax paper up here. Actually, maybe move forward a little bit. Grab it right here, and it hits the wax paper right there. And then we're looking at that wax paper from the other side, and we see it light up blue right there where it hit the wax paper. Okay? That make sense? Great. Now, there's another light, and this light is white. And it's right here, and it happens to be up on top here. So you want to hold that up on top. The white light's on the top, and the blue one's on the bottom. So then the white light is doing the same thing. It's going all different directions, and it's getting in my eye so I can see it, and it's getting in his eye so he can see it. But there's one little piece of it, one little ray that goes right through the same hole. Goes right through the same hole and comes out the other side. And it's going over here. Now, remember the rule? The rule was it only goes in straight lines. It's not quite true, actually. Sometimes it bends, but usually light goes in straight line. So it's going in a straight line, it comes down here, and it hits the wax paper. And it hits the wax paper right here, and it makes it glow. And we look on this side, and we can see it's glowing down there. Okay? Any questions? So I'm looking at this over here, and I'm saying, okay, it's very clear, it's totally obvious that the blue light is on top and the white light's on the bottom. But then I happen to look over here, and I say, wait a minute. It's actually the white light on the top and the blue one on the bottom. Well, that's because they crossed right in the little hole there in the pinhole viewer. And that's what happens in a pinhole viewer. And if you put a lens, here, the lens bends the light. It's no longer going in a straight line, but it still does the same thing. It makes the image in a different place, and it makes it much clearer. That's the job of the lens. It bends light, so it comes together and makes it a clearer image, a more vivid image. But the same thing happens. The light rays cross over, and you get an upside down image. If you put two holes, then you get another image of each one. There'll be another blue one and another white one right beside it. Everything's still upside down. And if you make a bigger hole, if you go whoosh, now it's a big hole. Now it's not just one ray going through. There's one ray coming out here and one ray up here and over here and over here. And what you get over here then is a much bigger blob of light. Instead of that crisp image, you get a blob. The bigger the hole is, the less clear the image is over here. So that's what you may have noticed when you made a big hole in your aluminum foil. But with your lens, you don't need to even worry about a hole. You can have a huge hole because the lens takes all the light that hits the lens and puts it all exactly in one place at one distance, and you got your image right there. The interesting thing about a pinhole image is it doesn't matter where the aluminum or where the wax paper is. It could be really close, could be far away. It's always clear. And certain artists who are photographers, they have pinhole cameras, and they use that fact. They can make amazing pictures where everything is in focus from something right in front of you, like a little bird standing right in front of the camera, and the mountains that are miles away. It's all perfectly crisp and clear. focus. That's a pinhole camera. Okay? Now, don't just take our word for it. You get out your string and you can do it yourself and make a little model with your friends. Thumbs up, everybody.